Hello everyone, I am back this week with a few recipes that are going to be a little bit easier on your budget. And they're from the 1950s. I'm cooking from wonderful ways with soups. Is that in focus? Hello? This book, I believe, is from 1958. Yes, it is. I'm revisiting this book. I have cooked from it before on this channel, I think maybe one other time. Sorry, I've got all my page flags here. So Campbell Soup, I do have quite a few of their cookbooks in my collection. I actually grew up near a Campbell Soup factory. Oh, and I noticed we had some new faces here, so quick introduction. I'm Anna. I've collected vintage cookbooks for over 30 years at this point, and I really enjoy trying the recipes in them. Sometimes I do work with more modern cookbooks, but often it's gonna be probably the 1940s through the 1990s. That's where the recipes are gonna come from. And the recipe I'm starting off with is going to be baked chicken and noodles. How cute. How cute is that chicken? I chose this recipe for a very specific reason, and that is most of the ingredients are pantry ingredients. So it uses canned chicken, a can of creamed mushroom soup. It does have milk in it, but you could easily substitute water or broth or whatever you have. You could sub that in for the sauce and it would still taste pretty good, I think. I'm a casserole fan. I grew up eating casseroles and it is very dreary out. It is rainy, it is chilly, and a casserole is one of those things that kind of fills you up, and it is very comforting. So the first thing I did was cook my noodles. This is 4 ounces of dried egg noodles, and I went ahead and cooked them according to package directions, but just like a couple of minutes less than it said. I do have to bake this as well, so I want them to be a little bit al dente. And I used egg noodles because I had them in my pantry, but you can easily use a different type of noodle if you have, you know, just like broken up spaghetti or something like that. That's gonna work too. This is about kind of like using the stuff that you have access to. Blend the soup and the milk. So I have a can of cream of chicken soup. I do happen to have Campbell's brand soup here. Use whatever kind you like. Understand that I'm using a Campbell Soup cookbook, so we are gonna be using canned soup. I have a lot of casserole recipes though on my channel that do not use canned soup. So I'll link a couple if you are interested in those. Choose what you want to choose. You can also make like a white sauce or a substitution for cream soup. There's half a cup of milk. I'm just gonna whisk that. If you don't want to dirty a bowl, you can mix it up in the saucepan where you cooked your noodles. I personally don't mind like making a little bit of an extra dish for myself. It's just gonna ensure that I can mix the soup and the milk a little bit better, incorporate those two things so that it makes like a smoother sauce for my chicken and noodles. That's what I'm talking about. It's smooth. I was at my grocery store today and I did notice that they have canned soups on sale. This is kind of the time of year often that these go on sale. You know, people use them in cooking for the holidays. So I have my chicken here. This is canned chicken that I've drained and shredded. I like a more shredded texture to my chicken, so that is why I did that. I'm gonna actually mix that in before I add the noodles. Actually, I'm gonna mix everything in before I add the noodles. I have a couple of tablespoons of diced pimiento here. Diced pimiento is something I pretty much always have because I make a lot of vintage recipes and it is in a lot of casseroles, tetrazzini, things like that. So that's something I have. If you don't have it or it's like not really something you're gonna eat, you can definitely omit that if you want. And then I have some dried parsley that I'm gonna add. It's just under a teaspoon. You can use fresh, but I only had dried. Now I'm gonna add my noodles. Yes, where did I put them? They were in the strainer. That's where they were. All right, so these are cooked. Probably should have used a larger bowl for this. So I'm just gonna gently combine all this. You could probably do this all on the stovetop if you just want to eat this right away, but I'm gonna make it extra good by putting a breadcrumb topping on it and baking it. Just a little extra touch to make it special. I have a casserole dish here. It says 1 quart. This is, I think, 1 or 1.5. This is also great if you're like, I don't want to go out in this weather. What do I make for dinner? Oh, I have all this stuff in my pantry. How convenient. Yeah, that filled that up like exactly. All right, I have about a tablespoon of melted butter here, and I'm gonna add some breadcrumbs. These are panko breadcrumbs. You can use regular breadcrumbs, again, whatever you have. This would also be good with like crumbled crackers on top. I love a buttered breadcrumb on a casserole. I think it really adds something special to it. Sprinkle that on top. We're there. I need to bake this at 375 degrees for about 25 minutes. I'm gonna kind of keep an eye on it. I want the top to get kind of toasty, so we'll see how much time it actually takes. Wow. Oh my gosh, I am so excited to try this. Look at how toasty it is. Right when I took it out of the oven, it was very bubbly. Yeah, I let it sit for a minute because it needs to cool off just a bit and I needed to get a photo anyway. I know this is gonna be like pure comfort food. This recipe says that it makes 4 servings. I know exactly what I want to serve this alongside, and that is peas. I love frozen peas, or you could even do canned peas. You could eat them on the side, you could mix them in. I think peas and carrots would also be very good if you want to do a little vegetable. I love peas in like cheesy, creamy kind of things. This isn't cheesy, but it is creamy. So it's kind of like my favorite, my favorite vegetable side to go with a casserole like this. So because it's like 4 servings, oh yeah, actually, I forgot this casserole is a little deeper than I remember. Because it's 4 servings, I'm just gonna kind of like cut it into quarters with this spoon. You know, it's not gonna be perfect, but when did that ever stop me? Yeah, this is definitely not gonna be exact. Anyway, I am very hungry because this is my lunch. We're gonna scoop it. Oh, dang. I think this would also be delightful with some mushrooms, if you like them. I'm so excited. I know this is probably gonna taste pretty good. I have expectations, you know. It is warm. It is comforting. It is a good old-fashioned casserole. We love it. I love it. Maybe you love it. This came together in very little time. 30 minutes, you have a pretty good, pretty filling dinner. Just add a vegetable if you want. I am very excited to eat the rest of this. Just about to show you my next recipe, but I had to share this very cute illustration first. It's right below what I'm going to be making today, and that is chili con carne, the Campbell's soup version of chili con carne. And I want to draw your attention to the ingredients list here. It has 1/2 pound of ground beef in it. And if you look at the bottom of the recipe, it doesn't make 6 servings. I mean, how? How is that possible? The answer is beans. The answer is beans. That is what is going to stretch that 1/2 pound of ground beef. It is a chilly day, so this is a very appropriate recipe. I like beans a lot. I remember eating chili in school. Like for lunch, we would have chili sometimes. It was more like the soup kind of chili. I know there's like the very thick and meaty kind. This was the soup kind. It got the job done. It filled our bellies, got us ready to learn for the rest of the day. But anyway, I remember whenever I would get like a lot of beans in that chili, I was like, yes. I almost like the beans more than I like the meat. This version does use tomato soup, and I've never made a chili with tomato soup in it, so we're gonna see how it is. Pretty excited. Kind of always excited though. So I've started to brown 1/2 pound of ground beef. This I had in my freezer actually. A lot of times if there's a good deal on ground beef especially, I will freeze it in 8-ounce portions because I cut a lot of recipes in half, and that's kind of what works very well for me. And in this case, a whole recipe is 8 ounces. To that, I'm going to be adding a diced onion. It's not a large diced onion, this is more like a medium diced onion. So I'm gonna cook that together for just a few minutes before I move on. So I've got that going. It said to brown this in shortening. I'm relying on the fat from the meat. I think this is 85-15. I'm adding some garlic. And it says 2 to 3 teaspoons of chili powder. I'm doing 3 teaspoons. Stir that together. I'm just gonna let that meat cook the rest of the way. I lowered the heat a little bit so you can actually hear me. I'm not worried about the onions cooking all the way through because this is gonna simmer after I'm done combining everything. So I need to add the rest of the seasonings. That's 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a dash of cayenne pepper, and a dash of black pepper. And I'm sure you can adjust the spice level as you see fit. Add soup, juice, and kidney beans. So we have a can of tomato soup. I'm using a store brand today. Just use what you prefer. And this does have tomato juice in it. I actually had some tomato juice to use up, but I think you could use broth or water, like bouillon and water. I think bouillon cubes were like my grandma's secret weapon when it came to cooking. I'm actually gonna pour my tomato juice in the can just to rinse it a little bit. Kind of stir it. I got most of the tomato soup out with my spatula, but you know, just get all you can out of the can. Here's here we are. We're almost there. I have one more ingredient, and that's our beans. And these beans are undrained. So the recipe actually did a really nice thing for us here, and it indicated the size of the cans, because can sizes, package sizes have changed since 1959. So this recipe indicated 2 cans of beans, kidney beans, that were 1 pound 4 ounces each. And the kidney beans that I buy, usually I find beans that are like 15.5 ounces. So I did actually weigh these. Normally I would just throw in 3 cans of beans, but you know, I just want to try this recipe kind of closer to the original, just to see, you know, just to see how it is. I do have a few kidney beans left. I'll eat them with something else. But, you know, if I like this recipe and I want to replicate it in the future, I would probably just throw in 3 15.5 ounce cans of undrained kidney beans. Looking hearty, looking hearty. Is that everything? It sure is. It says cover and cook over low heat for about 30 minutes, stirring often. So we're gonna cover it. Did I get the right lid? I did, first try. And I'm gonna let this cook on low for half an hour. Let's take a look. Bubbling away. So you can stop here if you want, if you're ready to eat, but it does say that you can remove the lid and let this cook down a little bit to your desired consistency. So I'm gonna let this go with the lid off for just a little bit longer, and then I'm gonna give it a try. Got my little bowl of chili here. I'm not gonna tip it too much. I don't wanna dump it on my countertop. It smells delicious. I did garnish with some cheese and some green onion, my re-sprouted green onions, because I feel like I'm always re-sprouting them. I almost always have green onions. The end of the recipe did have a little note that says, note, 1 cup of shredded processed cheese may be added for the last 5 minutes of cooking time. I didn't do that. And speaking of cooking times, I ended up simmering this like uncovered for, I'm gonna say 10 to 15 minutes. I wanted it to thicken up a little bit. I also wanted to unload my dishwasher and put the dishes away. So that was kind of perfect timing on that part. Yeah, so I'm just gonna give it a taste here. Okay. Okay. You know that school chili that I mentioned? This is not dissimilar to that, which makes, I mean, I would not be surprised if they used tomato soup in the chili at my elementary school for lunches. Those cafeteria workers had to do the most with the least, basically. They had to do a lot with a little. They probably had to get a little creative. So it just wouldn't surprise me if there was like some tomato soup in there. It does give it just like a slight sweetness, not super, super sweet, like not sugary sweet, but just like a little sweetness. It is pretty tasty. It's nice and thick. I think part of that, of course, is cooking it down, but then also most of the liquid in here is the bean liquid, which is already kind of thick. Very tasty. If I were to have this as a school lunch, it would probably be a bowl of chili with some saltine crackers and peanut butter on bread. They did like little peanut butter sandwiches, usually cut diagonally. What else would they have? Probably a fruit cup, like diced pears, canned diced pears. That sounds probably about right. That was what my school lunches looked like in the 80s. All right, I am gonna go and enjoy this before I start my next recipe. My third and final recipe for this video is gonna be macaroni and cheese family style. I've made a lot of different types of macaroni and cheese. I can't say that I've ever made one like this because it has cream of mushroom soup in it, and I was like, okay, never really thought about doing it, but I would be willing to give it a try. There's actually a photograph of this one, and it does look pretty good. So we'll see if I can make mine look like this. So I need 2 cups of cooked macaroni for this recipe. So I started by cooking a cup of dry macaroni in boiling water, just according to package directions. And now I'm melting a couple of tablespoons of butter. To that, I'm going to add half a cup of diced ham. I feel like this kind of makes it a little more substantial. And then I have a 1/4 cup of chopped onion. And I just need to let that cook and lightly brown. Are we frizzling? Are we frizzling this ham? I'm trying to remember what video I made where it said frizzle the ham. Things are starting to brown in the pan. So I took the heat down just a little bit. And now I have to stir in my cream of mushroom soup. Very interesting. Like I said, I've never tried a mac and cheese, to my knowledge. Oh, my oven is preheated. I've never, to my knowledge, tried a mac and cheese with cream of mushroom soup in it. So let's go. I thought, let's get wild. And yes, I did have to preheat my oven to 350 degrees because this will be baked. I have half a cup of just 2% milk. That's what I had. And I need to remind myself, I have a cup of shredded cheese here, but I only need to use 3/4 of it because some of it I need to save for the top. Sometimes I forget those things. Let's stir that in. I'm gonna bump the heat up a little bit. I need to let this melt together into a sauce. Things are nice and smooth in there. I'm also going to add my cooked macaroni to this. Okay, I had a hard time getting it in there, so I just turned the camera off so I could do it at a more comfortable angle for myself. All right, I'm gonna stir this to combine, and then it's time for the oven. I have a buttered casserole dish. I hope it's large enough. We'll find out. Oh, me and my cute dishes, I just want to use them sometimes, and maybe they're not quite the right size. I think we're gonna make it though. This looks good. Ooh, let me get a spatula. Get all the sauce we can. Ooh, get some of it on the counter. Yeah, I think this casserole dish was kind of the perfect size. I'm going to sprinkle the remaining cheese on top. And we're gonna do some breadcrumbs. 2 tablespoons buttered breadcrumbs. So I just melted a little butter in the microwave. I don't think you have to be too precise with this. I also think those like French fried onions, you know, that you put on green bean casserole, those are also like good in general on casseroles. I'm gonna use my fingers. I think I can get better coverage that way. I might have made these crumbs a little bit extra buttery. Oh my. Okay, hold on, I gotta wash these off. Well, all right then. I need to bake this at 350 degrees, 30 minutes or until nicely browned and bubbling. Again, that's what it looks like on the back of the book. So I'm pretty pleased because I think mine is not like far off from that with the golden brown. I did put it under the broiler for like 1 minute just to get it a little bit more brown on top. I have a lower setting for my broiler that I like to use for something like that. Smells incredible. Is it gonna be a mac and cheese? That I'm not sure of. I don't know. Is this really gonna be like a mac and cheese or just kind of generally a casserole? I'm only gonna have a little bit because it's like 2:30 p.m. So this is like my afternoon snack, my afternoon mac snack. I don't know if you can hear that, but I just cut through the topping a little bit. Sounds good. Wow, hot, hot, hot. It was so bubbly when I took it from the oven. I had to let it sit for a little bit. It smells toasty. I can kind of smell like this. I used a smoked ham, so I can kind of smell that too. I'm gonna take a little bite because it's really hot yet. I like it. I don't know if it's a mac and cheese. Like, it's not overly cheesy. I like that smoky ham flavor in there too. What I'm trying to decide is when I close my eyes, is it a mac and cheese taste that I'm tasting? I don't know if I'm just saying that because I know exactly what's in it and it's not like a traditional mac and cheese, like with a white sauce that you turn into a cheese sauce. It is very smooth and creamy though. I almost feel like you could serve this and say this is mac and cheese, and the people eating it, if they don't know exactly what's in it, they'd be like, huh, that is mac and cheese, but it's like kind of different. Like, what's going on there? I can't stop eating it, so that must be a good sign, right? Okay, I think it's kind of a mac and cheese. I wouldn't say that it's like in your face with the cheese. I think you could maybe add more cheese to the sauce if you want, but it definitely tastes good. We gotta talk about this cookbook, Wonderful Ways with Soups from Campbell's. A Campbell's Soup cookbook published in 1958. I think I caught myself saying 1959 when I was editing the cooking footage. It is 1958. I look at a lot of cookbooks. Sometimes I get the dates a little mixed up. This little booklet, not very thick, you know, but it is a feast for the eyes. Gorgeous photographs, okay? Gorgeous works of art, I think. The way that they're shot is so pretty and I want to frame them. And then we have these absolutely adorable illustrations here. These chickens and turkeys. Vegetables with glamour. I have actually seen this image used in other places and different pieces of art and merch and stuff, but here it is. It is from this Campbell's Soup cookbook. And indeed, these vegetables are glamorous. They have lashes. Illustration's really cute. I gotta show you some of the photos. I showed you a little bit, like the back of the book. It's the macaroni and cheese I made, but also do you see that it's like a very kind of like subtly Christmas themed image. There's like what looks like a very simple wooden tree, like a mid-century modern style kind of thing. I don't know, maybe I'm just reading into that too much. Oh, I always loved this one. I really love this bowl. Holy cow. I love like this very plain, stark background, and then everything is beautifully styled. I mean, it's like it's like a gorgeous portrait. The first time that I cooked from this book was a very long time ago. I think I made some kind of chicken and peanut soup. I believe it was one of the recipes where you mix a can of soup with something. Like you take a can of soup and then you add something to it. And there are quite a few recipes that are like that here, where you kind of doctor up a soup that already exists. Peanut butter bisque, I found it. I don't know if you can see that. So that was the original recipe that I tried years ago. It had a chunky peanut butter and condensed cream of chicken soup and a few other things in it. They also have this section that says take 2 cans of soup. So it's basically taking 2 different cans, mixing it together, making something different. 2 cans of soup plus. So 2 cans of soup and then some extras. Beef noodle duet. We've got condensed beef noodle soup, condensed vegetable beef soup. I'm having trouble saying these words. We've got butter, garlic, and bread cubes. It looks like maybe some croutons. Really getting fancy there. And then some of the garnish ideas, you know, you've got your column with the soups and then the corresponding garnishes for those soups. Black bean soup with sour cream or a lemon slice. That makes sense to me. Cream of mushroom with crumbled blue cheese or chopped ripe olives. Can't say I've ever thought of the chopped ripe olives, but I'd give it a try. Vegetable with buttered popcorn or grated cheese. I have had popcorn on soup, like as a garnish in a restaurant. So, you know, I would understand that one too. We also have drinkable soups, cold soups. When I think about drinkable soups, I always think about this like recipe that you always see floating around like on Reddit or Pinterest, and it's like, whoa, look at this, and it's called beef fizz, and it was like beef broth with other stuff in it, and it's like, ugh. It's not in here. I thought it was, but it's not. We do have shrimp pink ice though, which is frozen condensed cream of shrimp soup. They don't do the frozen condensed soups anymore, from my understanding, and then you add chopped parsley, water, and minced garlic, but you do not heat it. I don't know. Even if I could have shrimp, I don't think I would necessarily want that one. Look at these gorgeous images too. Oh my gosh, the pastel colors. How late 50s is that? Celebrity bisque. Oh my gosh, I hope you can see that. Celebrity bisque is condensed green pea soup, condensed beef broth, condensed tomato soup, milk, and sherry. So this is in the entertaining at home section. So that is intended to be something rather fancy. Also, in case you were unaware, kids love soup. Confirmed by Campbell's. Oh, there was another recipe I marked back here, not because I wanted to make it for this video, but it's called savory spaghetti casserole. And I was looking through it, and it has, you know, beef, onion, green pepper. It has a can of condensed cream of mushroom soup and a can of condensed tomato soup. I think I made this or something incredibly similar for the video where I collaborated with Jen Chapin on, I think it was like the Better Homes and Gardens cookbook from the 1950s, maybe 1953. Only in that book it was called Irish Italian Spaghetti, and I was just so intrigued by the mixture of mushroom soup and tomato soup that I had to try it. And I'm pretty sure that this is that. It says there's an image on page 28, so let's look. Yeah, so that. I think it's the same. But let's talk about the recipes I tried today. All 3 of them were like so warm and comforting and very nostalgic. You know, a casserole, a chili, mac and cheese, like very just comfort food, right? They all reheated very well, I must say. I actually, for lunch today, I was like, I really got to try these a day or 2 later just to let you all know, like, how did this work out? So I had a spoonful of the chicken and noodles, a spoonful of the mac and cheese, and then a little cup of the chili. What a delightful lunch. That was so good. It is quite chilly and rainy outside this week, so that was nice and warm, you know, it was a great lunch. I kicked things off with baked chicken and noodles. And this was kind of like as I expected it to be. A comforting, lovely casserole. Oh, it was so good. I mean, I like that kind of food. I like noodly things. I am from Ohio, in case you didn't know, from the way that I talk. So, you know, I did grow up on that kind of stuff. The reason that I chose this recipe, I looked at the recipe and was like, yes, the ingredients mostly are from your pantry. So canned goods, let's see, there's a little bit of milk in here, but it's canned chicken, canned soup, some breadcrumbs, some butter, stuff that you might have on hand already. And some of the things, like you can even make substitutions if you need to. This time around for these budget recipes, I chose not to do a cost breakdown just because it's so different depending on where you live, like the cost of certain ingredients and things are changing really fast. What I can tell you is that as of this filming, I'm actually filming this in late October of 2025, the cost per serving on all of these recipes is gonna be under $2 a serving if you follow the serving size in the recipe. So, you know, still pretty affordable, but again, I didn't want to do a complete breakdown just because it varies so much. This one also came together very quickly. So, you know, a good option for maybe like a weeknight dinner on a cold, like blustery kind of day. My second recipe was chili con carne, the Campbell soup version. Because it had tomato soup in it. And I chose this recipe because wow, did it stretch the ground beef. 6 servings, only half a pound of ground beef, and then lots and lots of beans, which made it very satisfying. It was a very filling chili, I think. And I really like beans, so I was all about this. I also thought it had a nice thick texture because, you know, you do cook it down, but also that bean liquid, that really helps. A lot of times in recipes, they have you like drain or rinse the beans, but in this case, you add them with the liquid. And it just made for like a nice thick, like a nicely textured kind of soup. Very hearty. It could be spicier for sure. If you like something a little bit more spicy, you could add more cayenne pepper. It did have a slight sweetness to it, so that kind of also makes me think kids might like this a little bit more. I don't know. You know, it's not spicy, it's a little sweet. Maybe this was kind of like geared toward children as well. I definitely would have eaten this as a kid. I think I did eat this as a kid, I said. My school cafeteria served chili that was kind of similar to this. And I was thinking about it more and I'm like, maybe, because sometimes we would have grilled cheese and tomato soup for lunch. And I'm almost wondering if they would take some of those like tomato soup leftovers, like if they made too much and then turn it into chili. That would make complete sense to me in a cafeteria in a small school in the 1980s. And then finally, I made macaroni and cheese family style. This was my wild card recipe. I looked at this and I was like, that's different. It didn't particularly stand out because it was like a pantry recipe, although, you know, it does have pantry ingredients, or that it was like stretching anything in a particular way. It was just like, this is interesting. It tasted really good though. And my question was, is this actually mac and cheese? I think yes, but I would probably use like a slightly sharper cheese next time. It did say a sharp cheddar. I think I used medium because that's usually what I have on hand. I'm thinking like an extra sharp white cheddar in this would be really good. It has like kind of a mushroomy flavor to it because of the cream of mushroom soup, of course, but it's like not so like this is definitely mushroom. It's just more of a savory quality, I guess. So, you know, it could work for you. I think everything just worked really well together. And again, it's one of those like baked casserole kinds of things. It was kind of perfect for this time of year. I think you can probably tell I really enjoyed all 3 of these recipes. These are kind of like the style of cooking that I grew up with, you know? So there's a big nostalgia factor there for me. Also, they're kind of great at this time of year when the weather is cooling down and it's getting darker earlier and you just kind of want to wrap up in a warm fuzzy blanket. And when I'm doing a budget video, my intention is not to be like, you have to follow these recipes exactly, like do exactly as I do. No, it's more to give you ideas, to maybe just kind of like make you think about what you have in your house already that you can use to make something delicious for your family. So hopefully, you know, you did get a few ideas for your next meal plan. And if you're looking for more budget-friendly recipes, I have an entire playlist and I'll link it in the description down below. I'd like to say a special thank you to my Patreon supporters. If you'd like to join us over there, I'll have a link in the description so that you can do that. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please share it with a friend, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I post videos about food, vintage cookbooks, and retro recipes every week. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.